Hello, we're Andy, the Maniacal Cinephile, and today we're breaking down and reviewing the new Killer Clown sequel.
Joker taking a deuce.
It's fully a do, and no, we're reviewing Terrifier 3.
Oh no, not the movie that makes people pass out.
Again, are we talking about Arthur or Art the Clown?
After the critical and commercial success of Terrifier 2, director Damien Leone began writing Part 3. However, this slasher is now a Christmas movie.
Like Santa, Art carries a sack and breaks into your house.
Damien's plan was to continue the overarching narrative and feature the Victoria Hayes character a lot more, because he regretted how underdeveloped her character was in the previous movies.
She's going from star witness to star.
Terrifier 2's original ending was going to set up Victoria's death and reveal Art the Clown's face on the back of her head, but Damien was like, "Ah, damn it!" after watching *Malignant*, and had to change the ending to Victoria birthing Art.
Congrats! It's a boy! Flush it!
So Damien changed Vicky's fate and made her Art's new sidekick.
Goodbye, little pale girl. Get some sun.
For a low-budget, independent horror movie... oh, fuck, I almost threw up. For a low-budget independent horror movie, Terrifier 2 made a squishy splash 2 years ago and really hit audiences in the face with a jar of acid. Hollywood studios started sniffing around and offered Damien a bigger budget, but that meant less creative control, an R rating, and less gore.
But that's all he has!
It was tempting, but ultimately wise not to sell out to Hollywood. I don't think Art the Clown would know how to tone it down.
Leave the silly dancing to Pennywise.
So, let's see if Terrifier 3 is even worse. In a good way. Use our link in the description and promo code Stitch Together Pictures to get 20% off FANGORIA magazines and merch. Part 3 opens at 3 a.m. on Christmas morning. A little girl wakes her parents and brother because she thinks she hears Santa up on the roof.
To be fair, this intruder is usually covered in red from head to toe.
Dressed as Santa, Art pulls an axe out of his sack and then decks their halls.
Art then slayed that plate of cookies and milk.
It was the perfect way to open this Christmas slasher, and there was some suspense. For Part 3, Art the Clown pushes things even further by also targeting children. During its premiere, the opening scene caused 9 people to walk out.
Some people lack the Christmas spirit.
We then jump back to where Terrifier 2 ended on Halloween night, with Art's headless body rising up and heading to the loony bin by taking the train.
A typical day on the New York subway.
Reclaiming his new head at the asylum, Art the Clown and Victoria go on a short murder spree. Now, what do clowns and bears have in common? That's right, hibernation.
Probably why Art loaded up on pies during the fall.
5 years later, our final girl, Sienna Shaw, is released from the Sunny Valley Mental Hospital. I figured since Terrifier 2 takes place on Halloween, then Part 3 would take place 2 months later on Christmas. But 5 years later?
Art isn't clowning around with his naps.
Sienna stays with her aunt, uncle, and her little cousin, Gabby. However, we soon see that Sienna is scarred in more ways than one. She's haunted by visions of her dead friends.
I do hate it when friends show up unannounced. I'm trying to jack off.
A few days before Christmas, two construction workers wake Vicky and Art from their slumber. Again, I don't understand this 5-year hibernation. Were they waiting for Sienna to get out of the hospital? Were they waiting for someone to find and wake them? Is it a coincidence?
Is it bad writing?
Now awake, Vicky and Art go on random killing sprees until they once again bump into Sienna, proving she's not entirely crazy.
Once again, it's the demon versus the angel.
The plot is serviceable, but that has always been this series' biggest weakness. The story is secondary to the vista of violence.
Slasher movies! They're known for their plots.
There are some issues with the pacing, and that's probably due to Terrifier 2's over 2-hour runtime. For Part 3, Damien Leone wanted to keep the runtime under 2 hours, so he left several scenes of character development on the cutting room floor.
Impressive! He's always finding new ways to kill his characters.
Lauren LaVera returns as final girl, Sienna Shaw. She's a wreck, suffering from PTSD, but still a worthy opponent for the Miles County Clown. She's grown into a hardened fighter who won't back down, despite the overwhelming horror she faces.
Whose face it is, we don't know.
Lauren is Damien's secret weapon. She's likable, easy to root for, and that heart elevates these movies from simply being a gore fest. Sienna's little cousin, Gabby, idolizes her, and I really liked their chemistry. Their relationship is the emotional core of the movie. Art kills at least 7 kids in this film, so I feared for Gabby. Run, little girl! This time he's killing everybody!
Art, don't you touch one hair on Gabby's head!
Attached to her shoulders, or not.
Part 2 left us with a lot of questions about Sienna's father, the lore, and his connection to all of this. We don't get all the answers, but we do dig deeper into Sienna's relationship with her dad through flashbacks. In these scenes, her father is played by Jason Patric from The Lost Boys.
My own brother, a goddamn shit-sucking vampire. Oh, you wait till Mom finds out, buddy.
It's not his fault. The diarrhea was bloody.
Sienna struggles to reconnect with her younger brother, Jonathan, who is trying to move on with his life in college.
College? I thought he was 12.
Jonathan takes a back seat in the sequel. His roommate's girlfriend has a true crime podcast and wants to interview him, but usually Elliot Fullman is the one doing the interviewing.
Don't you be nervous, you wild man. I'll tickle your neck.
Every other character is only there for Art the Clown to rip apart in various ways. However, we do get some fun cameos in the film. There's Chris Jericho, the Sultan of Splatter himself, Tom Savini, Clint Howard, who is no stranger to Christmas horror, and Daniel Roebuck. Roebuck plays Santa in a bar in one of my favorite scenes. It was oddly adorable how excited Art the Clown was to meet Santa.
Until Art went on the naughty list.
Season's greetings? More like season's beatings.
For the third time, David Howard Thornton plays Art the Clown, who is becoming a modern horror icon. Art is brutal, but David's physical comedy creates a performance that is otherworldly and terrifying, yet hilarious. His ability to switch from scary to funny makes him unpredictable, and it keeps you guessing.
It had me asking questions, like, who brought a toddler to see this?
In part 3, the stakes are a little higher, and the kills are once again brutal, living up to the franchise's gory reputation.
True. As soon as we walked into the theater, people started throwing up.
Until now, Damien Leone also did the practical effects, but with a little more money, he was able to bring in effects artist and Tom Savini's business partner, Jason Baker.
If you're a wrestling fan, you know Mr. Baker's work.
One of the highlights is the practical effects and its commitment to show you every gross detail. To Art the Clown, the gore is the hilarious punchline to a joke. He plays with his prey and drags out their death.
Terrifier, the horror series that's as subtle as a chainsaw up the ass. My favorite kill, by the way.
These movies aren't for the faint of heart, but gorehounds will appreciate the creative over-the-top kills and gross set pieces. Damien knows his audience and doesn't hold back. After all, it's the fans that made this possible.
Y'all need therapy.
Ahoy, hoy, my good boy!
No, not you.
In one of the more shocking scenes, Art pretends to be a mall Santa handing out gifts. However, one present is an explosive that takes out several children.
Whoa! Don't blame Art. Little Billy did ask Santa for that bomb.
I understand Damien wanted to expand the lore and give Vicky a bigger role, but I didn't like Art the Clown playing second fiddle in their scenes together. Art doesn't need a voice.
I also didn't like her singing. Why was this a musical?
Again, Evil, you're thinking about Joker 2. This is Vicky, that is Lady Gaga.
That's the same picture.
With a budget of $2 million, Terrifier 3 has already grossed $19.4 million its opening weekend, making it the highest grossing film in the series.
It grossed a lot of money and grossed out a lot of people.
Terrifier 3 pushes the bloody madness of the franchise even further in new ways, giving slasher fans an experience that is disturbing and unrelenting.
We get it, Damien. You've read American Psycho.
Damien Leone's direction is uncomfortable, yet charming in its can-do attitude. It's a hard balancing act to blend dark comedy with stomach-churning violence, but he pulls it off.
Like Art pulling off a severed head.
The script and character development could still use some work, but the lead performances from David and Lauren keep things afloat. These may be cheap, independent splatter flicks, but it's a passion project made with love, and it looks like everyone is having fun.
It even has its own jingle. It's a Terrifier Christmas.
So, would I recommend Terrifier 3? Yes, but to the right audience. Terrifier 3 is more of the same, but with a Christmas tree in the background. Part 3 tries to push the torture even further, so it lost some of the character moments and humor I liked in Part 2. It's always the quiet ones This is for die-hard fans of the franchise and those into extreme horror. It's not subtle or meant for mainstream audiences. If you've seen Terrifier 1 or 2, then you know if you like these movies or not.
Our grandma hated this movie, and us for taking her.
Next time, we'll leave her in the ground.
Terrifier 3 is a showcase of practical effects, gruesome kills, and the lead performances are solid, despite the thin plot and runtime. After dethroning Joker at the box office, it's clear that Art the Clown isn't going anywhere. Where did he go? Oh, gross! And I thought my handwriting was shit. Ugh! Oh no! We've been Andy, the Maniacal Cinephile!
Thanks for liking and subscribing.
Oh, shit! Join our Patreon, hit the bell, then now watch another damn video.